Section 8.1 is all about the economy and immigration in regards to American expansion. In 1790 to 1820, the population is growing rapidly, faster than any other country in the world. Immigrants are coming from Ireland, Germany, Scandinavia, and Asia, primarily from China. So there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of people in influx to that of the United States. Settlers to the Pacific coast in the West, it's a time of rapid growth and optimism with them being able to go past the Mississippi River. There is so much out there that people want to explore and settle. By 1860, half of the population of the U.S. lives west of the Appalachian Mountains. In the Northeast, we have fast-growing industry. There's a growth in major cities such as Boston and New York City. And there's also this idea of free labor, meaning no slavery in that area. In the South, it's still rural, agricultural, committed to slavery like it has been. By 1850, Napoleon has been defeated, so the Napoleonic Wars are over. And things are going to settle down in France, which allows the United States and France to come together as friends to do more. In 1837, there is a global economic slump, so we're going to go into a recession as we move forward, and it's going to take a little bit for us to recover from that. And that'll be during the presidencies of around Andrew Jackson. Between 1845 and 1854, nearly 3 million immigrants are going to come from foreign locations, and they're going to come and arrive in the United States and settle. They're not all going to settle in the same place. They're going to spread out into different places. And so that's what I'm going to talk about as a big chunk of this section. So the first ones we're going to talk about are the Irish. We have the situation of, in 1845, there will be a potato famine. Over 1 million people will die of starvation. What happened was John Hawkins, who took the potato from South America and took it to the British Isles to introduce it, he didn't really know how to grow potatoes. So he didn't know about crop rotation and the fact that potatoes take a lot of nutrients out of the soil. So you have to plant it in different locations every year. So by 1845, the soil in Ireland is just depleted, and there is not enough growing to support the population of Ireland. 1 million of them will die. 2 million farmers will choose to come to the United States, and a population in the beginning that only had 6 million individuals. So they're going to lose half their population during the potato famine. 90% of them are Irish, which is going to lead to a lot of mistrust of them with the American people, because we, remember, are based on the Protestant faith. So Puritanism, Anglicanism. So there's not a lot of trust with that of the Irish. By 1850, half of the population of Boston and New York are Irish. They're going to settle into the lowest rungs of society. Since they are Irish and they are poor, they're going to be pushed to the fringes of these cities. It's a very rough welcome in both cities for them. There's going to be an intense rivalry quickly that is going to develop between the Irish and the American citizens. There's going to be a lot of resentment and a lot of pushback, and it's going to lead to a lot of anti-Irish sentiment. By 1850, the Irish equal 43% of all the foreign-born population in the United States. The Irish will keep to themselves, many staying in the cities, so they can have that same bond that they had back in Ireland. Many Irish will take the most dangerous of jobs because it's the only jobs that they can get. Nativists will believe that they are expendable. Nativists are a group of individuals who don't want anybody coming to the country that isn't already born here. So no foreign borns whatsoever. They want to block those people out. In the South, the Irish are considered the lower than slaves themselves in some areas. And that's primarily because of the sentiment towards them. As you can see here in this section, there are two advertisements from newspapers that clearly say that they'll hire anybody except for someone who is Irish. Nativism is very rampant throughout that of the American people. They're anti-Catholic, anti-immigrant. Their known nativists were Samuel Morse, Horace Mann, the first Secretary of Education. The Know Nothing Party, also known as the American Party, will grow out of nativism. It's formed in 1855 as a national organization. They're going to support nativism. They want to stop immigration completely, and they sought to keep them from becoming naturalized citizens. So they want to change the immigration period from you have to be here for 5 years before you can become a citizen to 21 years. And that's going to cause some major issues. The other group that is going to show up is the German people. They're the second largest group. They're going to leave Germany after a failed revolution in 1848. All those people who pushed to gain more freedom for the lower classes in 1848. By 1854, they're going to surpass the Irish as the largest influx into the area. They're not going to settle in cities like the Irish do. What they're going to do is they're going to move out to the Midwest. It's primarily why the Midwest has strong German roots. They're skilled craftsmen and well-educated professionals. They're Protestants. They're family groups. There are some people who brings their entire family, like the family pictured here. When this family came to the New World, they brought every single person with them. Out west, we have British, Scandinavians, and the Chinese influxing into those areas. Norwegians and Swedes will head to the upper Midwest. This is in family groups. That's why we have a big Scandinavian group in heritage in places like Minnesota. In 1848, gold will be found in California, so there's going to be a large wave of people who are going to move westward to that of California. Also, there will be a wave of Asian immigrants that are going to come from Asia into that of the West Coast. Thousands of them are going to arrive, and they're going to find work in the Transcontinental Railroad. They can't find work hardly anywhere else. People don't trust the Asian group because they're not Protestant as well. They have a unique point of view when it comes to religion. They earn very low wages. And white settlers, because they weren't white, had a lot of hostility towards them. British individuals, those of British descent or European descent, when it comes to things that are different, they have a really hard time in the beginning accepting those things. In 1790, we have the first naturalization law where it says that only white people are eligible for citizenship. So anyone who's Asian or African American or Indian, they were never accepted to have been a citizen for that of the United States. We have the formation of new cities as all these immigrants are coming into the United States. Cities are going to form up. In the Midwest, we have small trading towns such as St. Louis. Between 1820 and 1860, New York rose to more than 1 million people. 2/3 of all foreign imports to the United States come through New York. 1/2 of all foreign trade come through New York. The majority of immigrants are going to land in New York and then spread out from there. Although there's going to be a large group that are going to go to Boston as well, but more go to New York City than that of Boston. It's really going to increase the urban populations by 800% due to a rise in factories. And at the beginning, immigrants weren't accepted as workers in factories. What they were supposed to do is they work crappy jobs. So it's going to be a real issue. So with all this coming in, we have new urban classes, new social classes. There will be a change in social classes, as you can see here on this chart. Your business class right here. In 20 years, there's going to be less business class. The poor is going to change too. There's going to be less in the very poor. And both middle class and wage earners, that's going to go up. There's going to be way more of those in the country at that time. When it comes to the business elite, it's basically the urban economy made some merchants very, very rich. These are manufacturers, bankers, those who are at the top already. By 1860, the top 10% of the population is going to control over 70% of all money that's in the country. State and local governments will favor that of the rich because they have more influence and they can give them money for campaigns. They're going to tax only tangible property. So anything that's a stock, it's not taxable. Anything that's untangible, stocks, bonds, these are money that's set aside that isn't something they have currently. So those are not taxed. When it comes to the middle class, also known as the middling class, these are farmers, merchants, and traders. This picture here shows you a upper middle class family. Between 1830 and 1857, the per capita income for this class is going to increase by 2.5%. That's a large amount of money. They're going to start to buy goods for material comforts and be able to get those luxury goods that only the wealthy could afford at that time. They're going to develop a set of moral and mental disciplines to prove that they are as good or better than the upper class. Now, the last group we're going to talk about is wage earners. Wage earners in 1800 are 12% of that of wage laborers are here. In 1860, 40% of wage laborers. Craftsmen are on the decline. Unskilled factory work is on the rise. The bottom 10% of all wage earners, these are individuals who are hired for short periods of time. They are contract workers. They never make enough to go beyond the basics of rent and food. They are going to use alcohol to make up for everything that they have, that they don't have as much. We have a large rise in wage earners today. Less people are in the middle class. Wage earners are growing. The middle class is shrinking. Now, the last group that was on that chart is the poor. And they don't have a slide because, well, the poor just don't have anything at all. So what you're going to do now is you're going to go on to section 8.2, Inventions.